I found out my husband brought his mistress to my anniversary party, but by the time he realized what I knew, it was already too late for both of them. Before we dive back in, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And if this story resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is something truly special I can't wait to share. The notification lit up my phone at 2:43 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon, exactly 3 hours before guests were scheduled to arrive for our 10th wedding anniversary celebration. I was in the middle of arranging white orchids in crystal vases when I saw it. A text message from my event planner, Cassandra, confirming the final headcount, 73 guests, including the last-minute addition my husband had insisted on that morning. One more seat at table 6, he had said casually over breakfast, not meeting my eyes. A colleague from the New York office. She's in town for the weekend, and it would be rude not to invite her. Her. He had said her so carefully, so deliberately casual. I had smiled and nodded, adding another place setting to my mental checklist. But something in his tone, in the way his jaw tightened when he said it, made my stomach turn. Now, 3 hours later, staring at Cassandra's confirmation email with the guest list attachment, I saw the name that would change everything. Amber Hastings. Table 6. +1 added by Trevor Caldwell. Trevor Caldwell. My husband. I set down my phone with steady hands and walked to my home office, the room Trevor never entered because he claimed my creative chaos gave him anxiety. I opened my laptop and typed her name into the search bar. Within seconds, her face filled my screen. 28 years old. Marketing director at Caldwell Industries, the tech company Trevor had built from the ground up over the past decade. Auburn hair, sharp green eyes, and a smile that looked expensive. Her LinkedIn profile showed she had joined the company 8 months ago. Her Instagram was public, a carefully curated collection of motivational quotes, latte art, and strategic shots of designer handbags. I scrolled further back. 6 months ago, there was a photo of her at a conference in Austin. The caption read, "Incredible keynote today." So inspired by visionary leadership. In the background, barely visible but unmistakable, was Trevor's profile. He was laughing at something off camera. 5 months ago, team dinner celebrating Q3 numbers. Trevor was in that photo too, seated directly beside her. 4 months ago, late night at the office, but worth it with this crew. A selfie with Trevor's jacket visible on the chair behind her. 3 months ago, sometimes the best ideas come during working lunches. A plate of pasta, and reflected in the window behind it, Trevor's face. I wasn't an idiot. I had been a criminal defense attorney for 12 years before stepping back to freelance from home when our daughter Harper was born. I knew how to read evidence. I knew how to see patterns where others saw coincidence. My hands still weren't shaking. That surprised me. Instead, I felt the same cold clarity I experienced in courtrooms when a witness's testimony began to unravel. The shift from confusion to understanding, from chaos to absolute certainty. I opened a new browser tab and logged into our shared credit card account, the one Trevor insisted we use for transparency. I searched the statements going back 6 months. The Riverside Hotel, downtown Denver. $347 charged on a Tuesday afternoon 3 months ago. The same day Trevor had texted me that his meeting was running late and not to wait up for dinner. Bloom and Barrel, the upscale restaurant in Cherry Creek. $289 charged on a Friday evening 2 months ago, the night Trevor claimed he was entertaining potential investors. It took a lot of care and time to prepare and narrate this for you, so if you're enjoying it, a quick subscribe really helps and means the world to us. Alright, let's get back to it. The Crimson Room, a boutique hotel in Boulder. $412 charged on a Saturday afternoon 6 weeks ago. That was the weekend Trevor said he was at a leadership retreat in the mountains. I remembered because Harper had cried when he left, and I had spent the entire day trying to cheer her up at the zoo. I printed everything. Every transaction, every photo, every timeline entry. The printer hummed methodically in the corner, spitting out page after page of my husband's betrayal, organized and undeniable. Then I did something I had never done before. I opened Trevor's laptop, which he'd left on the kitchen counter. His password was Harper's birthday. It had always been Harper's birthday, and he'd never thought to change it. His email loaded instantly. I searched for Amber's name. 247 messages. I opened the most recent one, sent this morning at 6:43 a.m., while I was in the shower and Trevor was supposedly checking his work calendar. Can't wait to see you tonight. Wear that black dress I like. After the party, we'll finally tell her together. It's time she knew. My vision blurred for a moment. Not from tears, but from the sheer magnitude of the disrespect. He was bringing her to our anniversary party. He was planning to tell me at our celebration. In front of our friends and family. I scrolled further back through the emails. Months of messages, intimate and casual, planning their future while I planned ours. Talk of eventually moving in together once the divorce was handled. Discussions about which of our assets were marital property and which were from Trevor's pre-marriage business. Speculation about custody arrangements for Harper. They had been planning the dismantling of my life with the same attention to detail I had once used planning our wedding. I took a screenshot of everything. Every email, every plan, every casual cruelty. Then I forwarded it all to my personal email address and deleted the sent items from his account. He would never know I had seen them. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed 3:30 p.m. 90 minutes until the party. I closed the laptop, returned it to exactly where Trevor had left it, and walked back to the living room where the orchids waited. I finished arranging them with steady, practiced hands. They looked beautiful, elegant, perfect for a celebration. Then I picked up my phone and made a call. Natalie? I said when my best friend answered. I need your help with something at the party tonight. Something important. Of course, she replied immediately. What's going on? I'll explain when you get here. But Natalie? I paused, looking at my reflection in the mirror above the fireplace. I barely recognized the calm, cold expression on my face. Bring your camera. The good one. I want everything documented tonight. After I hung up, I made one more call. This one to my divorce attorney, Patricia Ramsey, the sharpest legal mind in Denver and a woman who had built her reputation on destroying unfaithful spouses in court. Patricia, I said when she answered. I'm going to need you first thing Monday morning. And I'm going to need you to be absolutely ruthless. What happened? She asked, her voice shifting immediately to business mode. I'll send you everything tonight, I replied. But the short version is my husband is bringing his mistress to our anniversary party in 90 minutes, and he doesn't know that I know. By the time this night is over, I want him to wish he'd never met either one of us. There was a brief pause, then Patricia's low laugh came through the phone. I'll clear my entire calendar for Monday. This is going to be good. I hung up and looked around the house I had turned into a home. The photos on the walls of our wedding, Harper's birth, family vacations that now felt like elaborate lies. The furniture we had chosen together. The life we had supposedly built. By midnight, all of it would mean something entirely different. I heard Trevor's car in the driveway. My heart rate didn't spike. My hands remained steady. I walked to the mirror one more time and adjusted my dress, the deep emerald one Trevor had always said was his favorite. Tonight, I would smile. I would play the perfect wife, the gracious hostess, the woman who had no idea her entire world was a carefully constructed fiction. And then, when the moment was right, I would burn it all down. The front door opened. Honey? Trevor called out. The place looks amazing. You've really outdone yourself. I turned toward his voice, a smile already fixed on my face. Thank you, darling, I replied, my voice warm and loving. I wanted tonight to be unforgettable. And it would be. Just not in the way he expected. Natalie arrived 45 minutes before the party, her professional camera bag slung over her shoulder and a bottle of expensive champagne in her hand. She took one look at my face and set both down on the kitchen counter. Tell me everything, she said, closing the door behind her. I handed her my phone with the screenshots already queued up. She scrolled in silence, her expression darkening with each swipe. When she reached the email about telling me, together, at the party, her jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscle twitch. That absolute bastard, she whispered. He's bringing her here? Tonight? Table 6, I confirmed, pointing to the seating chart spread across the kitchen island. Right between his college friends and my cousin Rachel. He thinks I don't know who she is. He thinks I'll just smile and make small talk with the woman he's been sleeping with for 8 months. Natalie set down the phone and pulled me into a fierce hug. What do you need me to do? Document everything, I said, pulling back to look her in the eyes. Every interaction between them. Every touch, every look, every moment. I need evidence for Patricia, but more than that, I need everyone to see what I'm seeing. No one gets to claim later that I misunderstood or overreacted. Done. She picked up her camera and checked the battery. What else? I took a deep breath. I need you to help me find someone. Find who? Amber Hastings has a boyfriend, I said, pulling up another tab on my laptop. Or at least, she did 2 months ago. His name is Connor Blake. He's a freelance photographer, ironically enough. Based here in Denver. They were together for 3 years according to her older Instagram posts, but she scrubbed most of the photos about 2 months ago. I turned the laptop toward Natalie, showing her Connor's profile. Mid-30s, dark hair, creative portfolio full of moody landscape shots and urban photography. His most recent post was from 3 weeks ago, a black and white photo of an empty park bench with the caption, "Sometimes you don't see the storm coming until you're already soaked." You think she dumped him for Trevor? Natalie asked. I think she monkey-branched from a struggling artist to a millionaire tech CEO, and I think Connor probably has some feelings about that. I pulled up Connor's contact information from his photography website. His studio is 20 minutes from here. I called an hour ago and left a message saying I had an urgent project that needed to be photographed tonight. I offered him double his normal rate. And if he shows up? Then I'm going to tell him exactly who hired me and why, I said. And I'm going to invite him to stay for the party. Natalie's eyes widened, then a slow smile spread across her face. You're going to make them face both of their betrayed partners at the same time. I'm going to give them exactly what they planned to give me, I corrected. Public humiliation, confrontation at a celebration, and absolutely no escape route. The only difference is, they won't see it coming. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Connor Blake. Got your message about the urgent photography job. I can be there in 30 minutes if you still need someone. What's the address? I typed back the address quickly, then added, it's an anniversary party. I'll explain everything when you arrive. Come to the back entrance through the garden. Bring your camera. He's coming, I told Natalie, setting down the phone. Now I just need to make sure Trevor and Amber don't see him before I'm ready. Where's Trevor now? Upstairs getting ready. He thinks I'm just putting final touches on the decorations. I glanced at the clock. Guests start arriving in 30 minutes. Connor will be here in 20. I need you to let him in through the garden gate and bring him to my office. Keep him there until I give you the signal. Natalie nodded, already moving with purpose. What's the signal? You'll know it when you see it, I said. Trust me. It's going to be obvious. She squeezed my hand. You're terrifyingly calm about this. I spent 12 years in courtrooms watching people lie, I replied. I learned how to stay calm when everything inside me is screaming. Tonight is just another trial. Except this time, I'm the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury. Natalie left to position herself by the garden entrance, and I returned to the final preparations. The catering staff had arrived and were setting up the buffet in the dining room. The bartender was arranging bottles on the bar cart. The string quartet I had hired was tuning their instruments in the corner of the living room. Everything looked perfect. Elegant, sophisticated, exactly what you'd expect from a couple celebrating a decade of marriage. Trevor came downstairs in his tailored navy suit, the one I had bought him for his 40th birthday. He looked handsome, successful, every inch the devoted husband. He crossed the room and kissed my cheek. "You look stunning," he said, his hand resting briefly on my waist. I had to physically resist the urge to flinch away from his touch. "Thank you," I replied, keeping my voice light. "Are you excited about tonight?" Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt? Anticipation? I couldn't tell. "Of course," he said. 10 years. It's a milestone. It certainly is, I agreed, thinking about the emails, the hotel receipts, the careful planning of my humiliation. "I hope you're ready for some surprises." He laughed, completely missing the edge in my voice. "I love your surprises. You always go above and beyond." I really did this time, I assured him. The doorbell rang. The first guests were arriving. I smoothed my dress and walked toward the door, feeling Trevor's eyes on my back. I could do this. I could smile and greet and play the role for a few more hours. I had spent 10 years being the perfect wife. I could manage one more night. The party filled up quickly. Friends, family, colleagues, all of them bringing gifts and congratulations, all of them believing in the illusion of our happy marriage. I moved through the crowd with practiced grace, accepting hugs and compliments, all while keeping one eye on the door. At 7:23 p.m., she arrived. Amber Hastings walked through my front door wearing a black cocktail dress that hugged every curve. The black dress Trevor had told her to wear in his email. Her auburn hair was styled in loose waves, and her smile was confident as she surveyed the room. She didn't know yet that she was walking into a trap. I watched as Trevor spotted her from across the room. His entire body language changed. He straightened, his smile becoming more genuine, his eyes lighting up in a way they hadn't when he looked at me earlier. He moved toward her, then seemed to remember where he was and stopped himself. But the damage was done. I had seen it. And more importantly, Natalie had seen it. I caught her eye across the room, and she nodded slightly, camera already raised. I intercepted Trevor before he could reach Amber. "Darling," I said, linking my arm through his. "Come say hello to the Johnsons. They just arrived." He hesitated, glancing over at Amber, who was now accepting a glass of wine from the bartender. "Actually, I should." "It will just take a moment," I insisted, my grip on his arm tightening just enough to be uncomfortable. "They specifically asked to see you." Reluctantly, he allowed me to steer him away. Over my shoulder, I saw Amber watching us, her expression unreadable. While Trevor made small talk with our neighbors, I pulled out my phone and texted Natalie, "Is he here?" Her response came immediately, "In your office. And he's very interested in what you have to tell him." I excused myself from Trevor and the Johnsons, citing hostess duties, and made my way through the crowd toward my office. My heart was pounding now, the first crack in my composure. This was the moment that would determine everything. Connor Blake stood by the window, camera in hand, looking at the photos on my wall. He turned when I entered, and I could see the confusion and hurt in his eyes. "You're Trevor Caldwell's wife," he said. It wasn't a question. "I am," I confirmed, closing the door behind me. "And you're Amber Hastings' ex-boyfriend." His jaw tightened. "How did you know?" "Because I'm very good at research," I said. "And because I think we have something in common. We were both betrayed by the same two people." I showed him everything. The emails, the hotel receipts, the photos, the timeline. With each piece of evidence, his expression hardened. "She told me she needed space," he said quietly. "Said she needed to focus on her career." I thought, he stopped, shaking his head. "I thought it was about me. That I wasn't successful enough, wasn't ambitious enough. She made me feel like I was holding her back." "She traded up," I said bluntly. "To my husband. Who is also, apparently, a liar and a cheat. They're both downstairs right now, at my anniversary party, planning to tell me about their affair." Together. In front of everyone. Connor looked up sharply. She's here? Now? Table 6. Black dress. Probably wondering where my husband disappeared to. I met his eyes. I want to give them what they plan to give me. Public exposure. No escape. No ability to control the narrative. But I can't do it alone. What do you need from me? I need you to stay, I said simply. I need you to watch them together. And when the right moment comes, I need you to stand with me when I confront them. Two betrayed partners, united. They need to see that their actions have consequences. Connor was quiet for a long moment, processing everything. Then he picked up his camera. Where do you want me? Relief flooded through me. Natalie is the woman with the professional camera. Find her. Coordinate with her. Document everything. And Connor? I put my hand on his arm. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, he said, his voice hard. Thank me after this is over. I returned to the party, my mask firmly back in place. Trevor had found his way to Amber's side. They were standing by the bar, not touching, but close enough that their intimacy was obvious to anyone who knew what to look for. I caught Natalie's eye and nodded. She understood. Connor appeared at her side, and I watched as she briefed him quietly. 2 cameras, 2 betrayed partners, and 2 people who had no idea what was coming. At 8 p.m., the catering manager signaled that dinner was ready. Guests began moving toward their assigned tables. I watched as Trevor escorted Amber to table 6, pulling out her chair with a gentleness he hadn't shown me in months. I took my place at the head table and picked up my champagne glass. It was time to begin. The string quartet finished their piece just as everyone settled into their seats. I stood, champagne glass in hand, and the room gradually quieted. 73 faces turned toward me, expectant and smiling. Trevor sat to my right, looking confident and relaxed. He had no idea what was about to unfold. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, I began, my voice warm and steady. 10 years ago, I married a man I thought I knew completely. A man I trusted with my entire heart, my future, and eventually, our beautiful daughter Harper. I paused, letting the words settle. Trevor smiled at me, raising his own glass slightly. Across the room at table 6, Amber shifted in her seat, her expression carefully neutral. Marriage is interesting, I continued, slowly walking around the head table. You think you know someone. You build a life together, make plans, share everything. And then one day, you discover that maybe you didn't know them as well as you thought. A few nervous chuckles rippled through the crowd. Trevor's smile faltered slightly. For instance, I recently learned that my husband has been incredibly busy. More busy than I ever imagined. Working late nights, weekend conferences, business trips that required such dedication. I moved closer to table 6, watching Amber's face pale. Trevor, would you say you've been working harder than usual this year? He cleared his throat, clearly confused by the turn in my speech. Well, the company has been growing. It certainly has, I agreed. In fact, I was just looking at the company roster the other day. So many talented new people. Like Amber Hastings, for example. The room went silent. Amber's wineglass stopped halfway to her lips. Amber, would you mind standing up? I asked pleasantly. I'd love for everyone to meet you properly, since my husband was so insistent that you be here tonight. She remained frozen in her seat. Trevor had gone completely white. No. That's fine. I pulled out my phone, and suddenly the large television screen I had set up for a slideshow of anniversary photos flickered to life. But instead of wedding pictures, the first image was a hotel receipt. The Riverside Hotel. $347. Gasps echoed through the room. This is from 3 months ago, I narrated calmly. A Tuesday afternoon. Trevor told me he was in meetings all day. I swiped to the next image. This is from Bloom and Barrel Restaurant. $289 for dinner. I was at home with Harper that night, eating leftover pasta and helping with homework. Trevor stood abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Claire, what are you doing? I'm celebrating our anniversary, darling, I replied, my voice still perfectly composed. By sharing the truth about our marriage with everyone who came here thinking it was worth celebrating. The next image appeared. A screenshot of an email. Trevor's words to Amber, can't wait to see you tonight. Wear that black dress I like. After the party, we'll finally tell her together. Someone at table 3 gasped audibly. I recognized the voice, Trevor's mother, Diane. That's right, I said, turning to face the room. My husband didn't just bring his mistress to our anniversary party. He was planning to announce their relationship here, tonight, in front of all of you. Wasn't that thoughtful? Natalie had moved into position, her camera capturing every moment. I could see Connor at the back of the room, his lens focused on Amber, who looked like she was about to be sick. Claire, stop this right now, Trevor demanded, his voice shaking with either rage or panic. This is insane. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? I turned the full force of my gaze on him. Because I think the embarrassment belongs to the man who spent 8 months lying to his wife, using company money to fund his affair, and planning to humiliate her at her own anniversary party. More images cycled through on the screen. Text messages. More emails. Photos from Amber's Instagram with Trevor in the background. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. You went through my private messages? Trevor's voice rose. That's illegal. Actually, I said calmly, accessing a shared family computer with a password you willingly gave me is perfectly legal. I was a defense attorney for 12 years, remember? I know exactly what evidence is admissible. I turned to Amber, who had tears streaming down her face. But Trevor isn't the only one who's been dishonest, is he, Amber? Tell me, does Trevor know about Connor? Her head snapped up, eyes wide with shock. Connor Blake, I continued. Your boyfriend of 3 years who you dumped 2 months ago because you decided to upgrade to a richer model. He's actually here tonight. Connor, would you mind joining us? Connor emerged from the back of the room, camera still in hand. The look he gave Amber was devastating, pure betrayal mixed with disgust. You knew about him? Trevor turned on Amber, his voice accusing. You told me you were single. Oh, this gets better, I said, pulling up another set of images on the screen. Connor, being a photographer, had access to Amber's cloud account. He was kind enough to share some interesting files with me, including detailed spreadsheets of Trevor's assets, properties, and business valuations. Tell me, Amber, were you planning to marry him for love, or were you more interested in the prenuptial agreement you were researching? The evidence filled the screen. Documents Amber had created, calculating Trevor's net worth, researching divorce laws, planning her financial future with meticulous detail. Trevor stared at the screen, then at Amber, realization dawning across his face. You were using me? Don't act so innocent, Amber suddenly snapped, finding her voice. You're the one who pursued me. You're the one who made all those promises about leaving your wife. You're the one who said we'd be together. And you're the one who researched his bank accounts before you ever slept with him, Connor interjected coldly. I found those files 3 months ago. I just didn't understand what they meant until tonight. The room erupted. Voices overlapped, people stood from their seats, Trevor's business partners from table 8 were having an animated discussion. I could see his mother Diane crying, being comforted by my own mother. Trevor turned to me, desperation in his eyes. Claire, please. Can we talk about this privately? Not here. Not like this. Why not here? I asked. This is exactly what you planned for me, isn't it? A public announcement. An audience for my humiliation. I'm just giving you what you wanted, Trevor. Just slightly different content. I never wanted to hurt you, he said weakly. Then you shouldn't have spent 8 months sleeping with your employee, I replied. You shouldn't have used our credit cards to pay for hotel rooms. You shouldn't have brought her into our home, introduced her to our daughter, made her part of our lives while you were actively planning to destroy our family. Another image appeared on the screen. This one hit harder than all the others, a photo of Amber holding Harper at a company picnic 2 months ago. Harper was smiling, completely innocent, unaware that the woman holding her was actively trying to replace her mother. The room went absolutely silent. Even the quartet had stopped pretending to look away. You involved my daughter, I said, my voice finally cracking with emotion. That's the part one can't forgive. Everything else, the lies, the affair, the financial calculations, I could have maybe understood. But you brought this woman around Harper. You let her hold my child while planning to take her father away. Trevor had no response. He just stood there, diminished, exposed, his carefully constructed image completely shattered. Amber made a move toward the door, but Connor blocked her path. You're not running away this time, he said quietly. You made me feel worthless for 3 years. Made me think I wasn't good enough. And the whole time, you were just waiting for someone richer to come along. Connor, she started, but he held up his hand. Save it. I just want everyone here to know exactly who you are. A gold digger who manipulated a married man and destroyed a family for a chance at his money. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia, my attorney, who I had given access to a live stream of the party. This is even better than I imagined. I'll have the divorce papers drawn up by Monday morning. With this evidence, he won't get anything. I looked around the room at the faces of everyone we knew. Some looked shocked, others angry, many sympathetic. Trevor's business partners from Table 8 were already gathering their things, clearly wanting to distance themselves from the scandal. I think it's time for you both to leave, I said to Trevor and Amber. This party is for people who actually respect marriage and family. You clearly don't belong here. Trevor opened his mouth to protest, but his mother beat him to it. Go, Trevor, Diane said, her voice heavy with disappointment. You've done enough damage. Just go. He looked at me one last time, perhaps hoping for some sign of forgiveness or weakness. But I had spent the last 48 hours preparing for this moment. I had no sympathy left to give. Your things will be packed and waiting at a hotel by tomorrow, I told him. All future communication goes through my attorney. You'll receive the divorce petition on Monday. Amber was already at the door, tears ruining her carefully applied makeup. Connor watched her go with cold satisfaction. Trevor followed slowly, his shoulders slumped, the confident CEO persona completely stripped away. As he reached the doorway, he turned back once more. I did love you, Claire. Once. Once isn't enough, I replied. And once doesn't excuse what you did. The door closed behind them with a decisive click. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Natalie started clapping. Slowly, others joined in. Not celebratory applause, but something more profound, acknowledgement, support, solidarity. My best friend crossed the room and pulled me into a fierce hug. You did it, she whispered. We did it, I corrected, looking at Connor, who nodded grimly. The catering manager approached hesitantly. Ma'am, should we still serve dinner? I looked around at the faces of my friends and family, all of them still processing what they had witnessed. Then I smiled, a real smile this time. Absolutely, I said. After all, we have a lot to celebrate. Like truth, justice, and the beginning of my actual life. The party continued, though it had transformed into something entirely different from what I had planned. The formal anniversary celebration had become an impromptu rally of support. Guests who had considered leaving stayed instead, gathering around me with words of encouragement and shared stories of their own betrayals, their own battles, their own victories. My mother cornered me near the bar, her eyes red but fierce. I never liked how he looked at his phone during family dinners, she said. I should have said something. This isn't your fault, Mom, I assured her. He made his choices. Diane, Trevor's mother, approached next. Her hands were shaking as she reached for mine. Claire, I don't know what to say. I raised him better than this. I thought I raised him better than this. You did, I told her gently. People make their own choices, regardless of how they were raised. This is on Trevor, not you. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'll testify for you. In the divorce. Whatever you need. He doesn't deserve a penny after what he did to you and Harper. That statement would prove more valuable than she knew. By 10 o'clock, most of the guests had left, but a core group remained. Natalie, Connor, my mother, my sister Juliet, and surprisingly, 3 of Trevor's business partners from Table 8. They had asked to speak with me privately in my office. Richard Chen, the CFO of Caldwell Industries, spoke first. Claire, what we witnessed tonight was appalling, but there's something you should know. The board has been investigating some financial irregularities at the company for the past month. I sat up straighter. What kind of irregularities? Expense reports that don't match actual business activities, said Gerald Morrison, the head of operations. Hotel stays charged to company accounts that don't correspond with any business meetings or conferences. Restaurant bills for 2 when Trevor claimed to be dining with clients, but no clients were ever actually present. He was using company money to fund the affair, I said, the pieces clicking together. That's what we suspected, but we couldn't prove it without more evidence, Richard continued. What you showed tonight, those receipts, those dates, they match exactly with the discrepancies we found. Trevor has been embezzling company funds for personal use. The third partner, Linda Ashworth, who headed the legal department, leaned forward. Claire, with your permission, we'd like to use the evidence you gathered tonight. This isn't just a personal matter anymore. This is corporate fraud. If we can prove he systematically used company resources for personal affairs, we have grounds for immediate termination and potential criminal charges. My mind raced. I had wanted justice, but I hadn't anticipated it would extend beyond the divorce. What would that mean? It means Trevor would lose his position as CEO, Richard said bluntly. It means the stock options he's been counting on would be forfeited. It means his reputation in the tech industry would be destroyed. And it means he'd likely face criminal prosecution for embezzlement and fraud. The company is worth protecting, Linda added. We've built something good, and Trevor's actions have put all of that at risk. The board met yesterday, and were prepared to act. We just needed the evidence. I thought about Harper, asleep upstairs, unaware that her father's entire life was collapsing. I thought about the employees at Caldwell Industries who depended on their jobs. I thought about Trevor, who had thrown away everything for an affair with a woman who only wanted his money. Take it, I said finally. Take all the evidence. Do what needs to be done. Linda pulled out a tablet. I need you to sign a release allowing us to use the materials you presented tonight in our internal investigation and any subsequent legal proceedings. I signed without hesitation. After they left, Connor found me standing on the back patio, looking out at the garden lights. How are you holding up? He asked. I honestly don't know, I admitted. Part of me feels victorious. Part of me feels empty. Is that normal? I think so, he said. When Amber left me, I was angry for months. But tonight, watching her exposed like that, I realized I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. I just felt tired. Tired is a good word for it, I agreed. He was quiet for a moment, then asked, What are you going to tell Harper? That was the question I had been avoiding all night. Harper was only 7, too young to understand adult betrayals but old enough to notice when her father was gone. The truth, I said finally. An age-appropriate version, but the truth. She deserves honesty, even if it's painful. Connor nodded approvingly. My parents lied to me when they divorced. Told me it was mutual and friendly when really my father had done something similar to what Amber did. When I found out the truth years later, I was angrier about the lies than the original betrayal. I won't make that mistake, I promised. Natalie appeared in the doorway. Claire, you need to see this. I followed her inside to where her laptop was set up on the kitchen counter. She pulled up a social media page, and my breath caught. Someone had recorded part of the evening on their phone and posted it online. The video had already been shared hundreds of times, with thousands of comments. The caption read, "Woman exposes cheating husband and his gold-digging mistress at their own anniversary party. This is the most savage thing I've ever seen." "Oh God," I whispered. "It gets worse," Natalie said, scrolling. "Or better, depending on how you look at it. Local news stations are picking it up. You're going viral." My phone started buzzing incessantly. Friend requests, messages, calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I turned it off completely. "This wasn't supposed to go public like this," I said, feeling panic rise in my chest. I wanted Trevor and Amber to face consequences, but I didn't want to become some internet spectacle. "Too late for that," Juliet said, reading comments on her own phone. "But look at this, Claire. People are supporting you. They're calling you brave. They're sharing their own stories. You've accidentally started a movement." I read over her shoulder. Comment after comment from people, mostly women, sharing experiences of betrayal, praising my courage, thanking me for showing that victims could fight back. One comment stood out: "My husband cheated on me 5 years ago, and I stayed because I was scared of being alone. Watching this woman stand up for herself has given me the courage to finally file for divorce. Thank you for showing us we deserve better." "I never intended for this," I said softly. "Maybe not," my mother said, joining the group. "But sometimes the most important things we do are the ones we never planned. You've given people hope, Claire. That matters." At 11:30, my phone, which I had turned back on to check for messages from the babysitter, rang. Patricia's name flashed on the screen. "I've been getting calls," she said without preamble. "Other attorneys, media outlets, even a producer from one of those morning talk shows. Claire, this is bigger than a simple divorce case now." "I know," I said wearily. "I just saw the videos online." "Here's what's going to happen," Patricia continued, all business. "Monday morning, we file for divorce on grounds of adultery and financial malfeasance. I'm also filing for full custody of Harper with supervised visitation for Trevor only. Given what happened tonight and the evidence we have, no judge will deny it." "What about the company investigation?" "That's separate but complementary. Richard Chin called me an hour ago. They're filing a formal complaint with the board tomorrow morning. Trevor will be suspended immediately pending investigation. By the end of next week, he'll likely be terminated." "And Amber?" "I've been in contact with the HR department at Caldwell Industries. She'll be fired Monday morning for workplace misconduct and violation of the ethics policy. Whether she faces criminal charges depends on what the investigation into Trevor's embezzlement uncovers. If she knowingly participated or benefited from company funds being misused, she could be charged as an accomplice." I absorbed all of this information, feeling strangely detached from my own life. 12 hours ago, I was a wife preparing for an anniversary party. Now I was a viral sensation, a soon-to-be divorcee, and potentially a witness in a criminal case. "Patricia, what if Trevor tries to fight back? What if he claims I humiliated him unfairly or violated his privacy?" She laughed, a sharp, cynical sound. "Let him try. Everything you did was legal. You accessed a shared computer, used evidence from joint accounts, and exposed criminal behavior. Any lawyer he hires will tell him the same thing: he has no case. The only thing fighting would do is make things worse for him." After we hung up, I checked in on Harper one more time. She was sleeping peacefully, her favorite stuffed rabbit clutched in her arms. Tomorrow, her life would start changing in ways she couldn't yet understand. But I would be there to guide her through it. I returned downstairs to find the remaining guests preparing to leave. Natalie had packed up her camera equipment. Connor was helping my mother load leftover food into containers. "Thank you," I told them. "All of you. I couldn't have done this without you." "You absolutely could have," Natalie corrected. But I'm glad you didn't have to. Connor handed me a business card. If you ever need anything, photographs for the legal case, someone to talk to, whatever, call me. We're in this together, right? Right, I agreed, accepting the card. After everyone left, I stood alone in my living room, surveying the aftermath. Dirty plates, empty glasses, abandoned napkins. The detritus of the party that had changed everything. I began cleaning, methodically working through each room. It was nearly 2 in the morning when I finally finished. As I placed the last wine glass in the dishwasher, I caught sight of my reflection in the kitchen window. I looked exhausted, my carefully done hair now falling loose, my makeup smudged. But my eyes were clear and determined. I had survived the worst night of my life by turning it into Trevor's worst night instead. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from an unknown number. You don't know me, but I was at your party tonight. What you did took incredible courage. My sister went through something similar 5 years ago, and she didn't have the strength to fight back. She stayed with her cheating husband and has been miserable ever since. Thank you for showing that there's another way. You're an inspiration. I saved the message, knowing I would need reminders in the difficult days ahead that tonight had mattered, that justice had been served, that I had done the right thing. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. Divorce proceedings, custody hearings, corporate investigations, media attention. But tonight, I had won. I had taken back my power, exposed the truth, and set the foundation for a better future. I climbed the stairs to my bedroom, changed into comfortable pajamas, and slid under the covers. For the first time in months, I fell asleep within minutes, untroubled by doubt or fear. The worst was over. Everything else was just paperwork. 4 months had passed since the anniversary party that ended my marriage and inadvertently launched me into temporary internet fame. I stood in my new downtown office, boxes still waiting to be unpacked, looking out at the Denver skyline. The view was spectacular, a tangible reminder of how far I had come. The divorce had been finalized 3 weeks ago. Patricia had been right, Trevor hadn't fought anything. His attorneys had advised immediate capitulation given the mountain of evidence and the ongoing criminal investigation. I received the house, full custody of Harper with supervised visitation rights for Trevor, 70% of our joint assets, and a substantial monthly support payment. But the money wasn't the victory. The real victory was standing here in this office, preparing to relaunch my legal career on my own terms. My phone chimed with a text from Natalie. Lunch at Morrison's? I have news. I smiled and texted back confirmation. Natalie had become more than my best friend through all of this. She had become my business partner. Her documentation of that fateful night had been so thorough and professional that 3 other women had approached her to document their own divorce proceedings. She had accidentally stumbled into a niche photography business focused on evidence gathering for legal cases. Which is how we ended up forming a partnership. My legal expertise combined with her investigative photography skills. We were calling it Verity Legal Services, a firm specializing in representing clients going through contentious divorces where infidelity and financial misconduct were factors. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Harper bounced into the office, her backpack sliding off one shoulder. At 7 years old, she was remarkably resilient, though I knew the divorce had affected her more than she let on. Mom, can we get pizza for dinner? She asked, climbing into the oversized chair near my desk. Absolutely, I said. Any special reason? Connor said he might come by to show me the photos from the wildlife refuge, she replied casually. Connor had become an unexpected constant in our lives. Not romantically, we had both agreed we needed time to heal before considering anything like that, but as a genuine friend who understood what we had been through. He had started teaching Harper photography basics, and she had taken to it with unexpected enthusiasm. That sounds nice, I said. Did you finish your homework? She nodded, pulling out a math worksheet covered in careful calculations. As I checked her work, my office phone rang. The new business line I had installed just yesterday. Verity Legal Services, this is Claire Whitmore speaking. Ms. Whitmore, my name is Angela Torres. I was given your number by Patricia Ramsey. She said you might be able to help me with a difficult situation. I grabbed a notepad, already shifting into attorney mode. Tell me what's happening, Angela. Over the next 20 minutes, she detailed a story that sounded painfully familiar. A husband who traveled frequently for work, unexplained expenses, a younger woman who had suddenly become indispensable to his business. Angela had discovered text messages, but she didn't know how to proceed without tipping him off. I don't want to end up blindsided, she said, her voice shaking. I want to be prepared. I want to control how this happens. That's exactly what we help with, I assured her. I'd like to schedule a consultation for this week. Can you come in Friday afternoon? After we hung up, I sat back in my chair, feeling that familiar mixture of sadness for what Angela was going through and determination to help her through it. This was my purpose now, helping others navigate the devastating terrain I had already crossed. At Morrison's Bistro, Natalie was already waiting at our usual table, practically vibrating with excitement. Okay, what's the news? I asked, sliding into the booth. 3 things, she said, holding up fingers. First, the documentary producer reached out again. They're still interested in doing a full feature about what happened at your party and how it launched our business. They want to frame it as a story about taking back power. I grimaced. The media attention had been overwhelming in the first few weeks. I had declined countless interview requests, trying to protect Harper from further exposure. Still not interested, I said firmly. I figured, but I had to tell you. Second thing, I got contacted by a women's advocacy group. They want to hire us to do a seminar on recognizing signs of infidelity and protecting yourself financially before filing for divorce. That I might be interested in, I admitted. What's the third thing? Natalie's expression shifted to something more serious. I heard from a contact at Caldwell Industries. The investigation concluded. Trevor's being formally charged with embezzlement and fraud. The amount was over $200,000 in company funds used for personal expenses over the course of 18 months. I set down my water glass carefully. I had known this was coming, but hearing it confirmed still felt surreal. And Amber? She took a plea deal. Testified against Trevor in exchange for probation and community service. Apparently, she kept meticulous records of everything, dates, amounts, transactions. She was building evidence in case she ever needed leverage. She was planning to blackmail him, I said, understanding dawning. That's what the prosecutors think. She's not as innocent as she tried to appear, but she's smart enough to save herself when things fell apart. Our food arrived, but I had lost my appetite. What's the sentencing looking like for Trevor? 18 months to 3 years, depending on the judge. His attorneys are trying to negotiate for house arrest given that he's a first-time offender and has a minor child, but the prosecution is pushing for jail time to make an example. I thought about Harper, about how she would handle her father being in prison. We had been going to therapy together, working through her feelings about the divorce. She was angry at Trevor, confused about why he had lied, but she still loved him. He was still her father. I never wanted it to go this far, I said quietly. Claire, you didn't do this. Trevor did. Every single consequence he's facing is because of choices he made. You just refused to let him get away with it. Logically, I knew she was right. But emotionally, it was more complicated. I had started the chain of events that led to Trevor's complete downfall. Yes, he had betrayed me. Yes, he had committed crimes. But he was still Harper's father, and his imprisonment would hurt her. Have you talked to Diane lately? Natalie asked, changing the subject. Last week. She's devastated but trying to be strong for Harper. She takes her every Saturday for grandmother-granddaughter time. She keeps apologizing for Trevor, but I keep telling her it's not her fault. That's good that Harper still has her grandmother. Kids need stability. After lunch, I returned to the office to find Connor waiting outside with his camera bag and a folder of wildlife photos for Harper. He smiled when he saw me, that genuine warm smile that still surprised me sometimes. Hope you don't mind the ambush, he said. Harper texted me about the photos, and I was already downtown. Not at all. Come in. The place is still a disaster, but it's starting to come together. He followed me inside, looking around at the partial unpacking job. This is great, Claire. Really professional. Thanks. It feels good to be building something new. I gestured to the seating area. Harper's still at aftercare for another hour. Want some coffee while you wait? We sat in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows, and for a while, we just talked. About his photography business, which was thriving. About his upcoming exhibition at a local gallery. About how strange it was that we had both emerged from that terrible night not just surviving, but actually thriving. I've been thinking about something, Connor said eventually. That night at your party, I was so focused on revenge. On making Amber pay for what she did. But looking back now, I realize the best revenge was just moving on. Building something better. I know what you mean, I agreed. The first few weeks after, I kept waiting to feel victorious. But mostly I just felt tired. And then slowly, I started feeling something else. Hope, maybe. Possibility. That's exactly it. He leaned forward, his expression earnest. We both got betrayed by people we trusted. But we didn't let it destroy us. We used it as fuel to become better versions of ourselves. My phone buzzed with an email notification. I glanced at it and felt my stomach drop. What is it? Connor asked, noticing my expression. It's from Trevor's attorney. He wants to discuss modifying the custody arrangement. The peace I had been feeling evaporated instantly. He can't be serious. The supervised visitation was ordered by the court because of the emotional damage his actions caused Harper. I opened the email and read quickly. Trevor was arguing that since he was likely facing imprisonment, he wanted extended visitation now, before sentencing, to maintain his relationship with Harper. That's actually not unreasonable, Connor said quietly. I mean, I hate defending the guy, but if he's going to prison, this might be his last chance to spend real time with his daughter for years. I wanted to argue, to say Trevor didn't deserve it, but deep down I knew Connor was right. This wasn't about what Trevor deserved. It was about what Harper needed. I'll talk to Patricia about it, I said finally. See what can be arranged that protects Harper while still giving her time with her father. Connor nodded approvingly. That's the right call. You're being the bigger person. I'm trying to be the parent Harper needs, I corrected. Which sometimes means putting my anger aside. When Harper arrived an hour later, her face lit up at seeing Connor and his photos. She spent the next 30 minutes examining each image, asking questions about camera settings and composition. Watching her engage so enthusiastically with something creative made my heart swell. This was what mattered. Not revenge, not viral videos, not even justice. This, my daughter, happy and curious and resilient despite everything she had been through. That evening, after Connor left and Harper was in bed, I sat at my kitchen table with a glass of wine and my laptop. I pulled up the viral video from the anniversary party, something I hadn't watched since that night. Seeing myself up there, calm and controlled while delivering that devastating presentation, felt like watching a stranger. Had I really been that composed? That strategic? Looking at it now, I could see the cracks in my facade, the slight tremor in my hands, the way I gripped my phone just a little too tightly, the momentary hesitation before each reveal. I hadn't been as unaffected as I appeared. I had just been determined not to fall apart in front of people who had come to celebrate what they thought was a happy marriage. The comments on the video had grown to over 50,000. I scrolled through them randomly. This woman is my hero. I wish I had been this brave when my husband cheated. The way she stayed calm while destroying him is legendary. Anyone know if she's doing okay now? I hope she's thriving. On impulse, I created a response video. Nothing dramatic, just me sitting at my kitchen table, looking directly at the camera. Hi everyone. I'm Claire Whitmore, and 4 months ago, I became unintentionally viral for exposing my husband's affair at our anniversary party. A lot of people have asked how I'm doing, so I wanted to give you an update. I'm doing well. Better than well, actually. My divorce is finalized. I have full custody of my beautiful daughter. I've relaunched my legal career, and I'm now helping other people navigate similar situations to what I went through. But I want to be honest about something. That night wasn't easy. I wasn't as calm as I appeared. I was terrified, heartbroken, and angry. What you saw was me refusing to let those feelings control me. Was it the right approach? I don't know. It worked for me, but everyone's situation is different. What I've learned in these past 4 months is that revenge isn't actually that satisfying. What's satisfying is building a new life. It's watching my daughter thrive despite the upheaval. It's helping other women find their strength. It's discovering that I'm capable of more than I ever knew. To everyone who's going through betrayal right now, you will survive this. You'll do more than survive, you'll emerge stronger. But give yourself grace. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be messy and angry and sad. Just don't stay there forever. Thank you for all your support. And remember, the best revenge is living well. I posted the video and closed my laptop, not waiting to see the response. It didn't matter what people thought. I had said what I needed to say. My phone rang. Trevor's name appeared on the screen. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Claire. His voice sounded different. Smaller somehow. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. I know sorry doesn't fix anything, but you deserve to hear it. I was quiet for a long moment. Why now, Trevor? Because I'm probably going to prison. Because I've lost everything that mattered. Because our daughter asked me the other day why I lied to you, and I didn't have a good answer. I think I forgot what was important. I got caught up in excitement, in feeling young again, in the thrill of something new. And I destroyed everything real in pursuit of something that was never real at all. Amber was using you, I said, not unkindly. You know that now, right? I know. She testified against me to save herself. Showed the prosecutors evidence she'd been collecting the whole time. I was just a meal ticket to her, and I was too stupid and flattered to see it. What do you want from me, Trevor? Nothing. I don't deserve anything from you. I just wanted you to know that watching you move forward, build your business, be strong for Harper, it's made me realize what I threw away. You were always the strong one. The smart one. And I took that for granted. Yes, you did, I agreed. But Trevor, I'm not going to pretend that apology fixes anything. What you did changed me. Changed Harper. Changed everything. An apology doesn't undo that. I know. I just needed to say it anyway. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet of my kitchen, processing the conversation. Trevor's apology had felt genuine, but it didn't change anything. The damage was done. The consequences were in motion. All we could do now was move forward. I walked upstairs and peeked into Harper's room. She was sleeping peacefully, her new camera, a gift from Connor, sitting on her nightstand next to her stuffed rabbit. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Natalie, just saw your video. Proud of you. You're going to help so many people. Maybe that was the point of everything that had happened. Not revenge, not justice, not even healing. Maybe the point was transformation, taking the worst thing that had ever happened to me and using it to help others avoid the same pain. I looked out Harper's window at the Denver lights stretching into the distance. Somewhere out there were women discovering betrayals tonight. Women finding evidence of lies. Women facing the decision of what to do next. Because of what I had been through, because of what I had learned, I could help them. I could show them they were stronger than they knew. I could prove that life after betrayal wasn't just possible, it could be better than before. The horizon was open and full of possibility. My future was uncertain, but for the first time in years, that uncertainty felt like freedom rather than fear. I was no longer the woman who had discovered her husband's betrayal. I was the woman who had survived it, transformed because of it, and was now strong enough to help others do the same. And that was worth more than any revenge could ever be. Coming up next, you'll see 2 more stories we handpicked just for you. If this one struck a chord, you're going to love what's next. Tap to keep the journey going.